100 independent surety brokerages across the United States using our system, which is, I would say, largely the plurality of the surety brokerage industry, as well as 75 underwriting surety companies utilizing our system every day on a daily basis. And our bond volume is roughly 100,000 bonds per year through our portal, through our platform. We've been doing it successfully for 20 years. So that being said, just as a brief overview, we'll show you a quick demo of the system from the point an agent creates and executes a bond to the point where the bond can be viewed and retrieved by the owner obligee and even potentially exported to an owner obligee's either project management system, their own internal document management system, or simply to be housed in Surety2000 so it could be viewed eternally through our system. We retain all the documents indefinitely. So from the very first bond ever created through now, we retain all of that data, all of that data. So, and we're simply a portal for executing bonds. So a surety company logs into Surety2000 to grant a power of attorney to an attorney in fact or a broker. And then from there, that broker is able to create and execute a bond on behalf of its principal or its contract bidder. That contract bidder then logs into Surety2000 to sign the bond. And then the end result is the owner can view that bond within Surety2000, or like I mentioned, export it to their own document management system. I could also note that we are integrated with quite a few electronic bidding systems out there. Oftentimes, an owner obligee employs the use of an e-bidding system, which means the owner can upload all of their plans and documents to this bidding system. Contract bidders can go into that bidding system, take a look at the plans, and put together their estimations and their bids. And then they would submit their bids to that particular owner obligee, bid on the project. And from there, the key data points of Surety2000 and its bond, the bid bond, would be pulled into that bidding system. And then as one entire document, the bid plus the bid bond all gets signed in the bidding system. So there are multiple ways that we can integrate with various different systems out there. Should you have any of those systems in use right now with your respective firms.
To create bonds. And those surety brokers are able to go into Surety2000 and immediately see exactly who's the granted individual, which surety company granted that underwriting company to that agent to be able to create the bond. Now, once the surety agent does have their power of attorney available to them, they can go right into creating a bond in Surety2000. And it's a very simple process. So the first thing, they're going to choose the companies that will be associated with the bond for that multi-party contract. Now, one thing that does happen is if the agent does not have a power of attorney from a surety company already provided, it will not show up for them to choose under this list. So that surety portion is very important before an agent can do anything in our system.
It's important to note that an agent or attorney, in fact, cannot create and execute a bond within Surety2000 unless the surety company, the underwriting company, granted power of attorney to that broker within our system. So that is an element of safety and protection around that power of attorney. And we have more as well, which we'll discuss as John.
Absolutely. And so once that agent chooses their companies, they also choose which power of attorney or which underwriting company. They choose the bond type. And so for this example, we'll do a bid bond. Now, if there is one form available under that specific owner, that's the only choice they'll have. So we're minimizing the chance that you're going to receive the wrong bond form when doing bonds within Surety2000. So once we do load the bond form, they are presented with a form filler to be able to provide the information about that bond. So if I just fill this out really quickly here. Now, we do have some verification fields that we do require within Surety2000 that is part of our API integration that verifies specific fields, making sure that we have the correct contractor who's bidding on that job, that it's the correct job that they are bidding on, and things like that, or the bid security amount is correct. And so we can verify these fields as the agent fills them out.
Right. And this typically occurs when you're bidding a public works project. A contractor vendor ID number gets assigned to a contract bidder by the owner, and they use that contract contractor vendor ID number to basically align the bond with the specific contractor. And it really comes in handy when there's an integration with a bidding system. So it based that contractor vendor ID number in the bidding system tethers that contractor to the bond.
Exactly. And then the final portion, they will choose who's going to sign the bond, both the attorney in fact and any other signatures that will be required on the bond. Once they do this, they will save their draft here. I do apologize. Get that out of here. So once they do save that draft, we give these agents one final time to look over the bond, make sure everything is correct on the bond before that bond is submitted to their contractor for signing. So once that agent does feel that the information on the bond is valid and correct, they're going to go ahead and submit the bond for signatures. It will give them one last warning to let them know that once this portion has been submitted, they cannot alter the bond past this point. Once the bond has been submitted for signatures, we both allow the agent to sign at this time. And we also send an email to the contractor letting them know that it is time to sign that bond and get it ready for verification. Now within the signing app, it will take them to our signing app called Sign Now, where they will get started. They'll click Start, and then they'll click inside the signature field. As soon as they click inside the signature field and click Done at the top here, an audit trail of that signature will be held within Sign Now, which includes the IP address of the user who signed, as well as a timestamp of when it was signed, as well as the information around the user logged in who signed at the time. So we do track all of those things to make sure there's consistency with who's signing within Surety2000.
So there's a full audit trail, certificate of completion, all of that security around it.
Absolutely. And so once the agent has signed, the agent's portion is done. They're done with this bond and they're just waiting for their contractor to finish it up. So let me go ahead and switch gears real quick, guys, and we'll go ahead and sign as the contractor as well.
So Josh now logged out as an agent and now is logging in as a contractor to retrieve the bond on the principal end so he can sign it.
Exactly. And so once we are signed in for the contractor, it's very simple for them as well. They're going to click on bonds in the middle here. It's going to give them a list of all their bonds. Now it will always show their latest bond at the very top. So once they get that email, they can sign in and it'll be that very top bond. They click view details. They're going to scroll down to just exactly where that agent signed. And now you can see that the signature is available for that specific user. Now, with the signatures within Surety2000, only the signed individual can log in and sign. It must be under their account. So we don't allow that signature to be signed by anybody under that company. It's only who is assigned on that, that bond to sign. Same thing with the contractor. They're going to click the signature. That audit trail and certificate of completion does get sent to the back end. And we do track that signature. Now, once this bond has been completely executed, it will be available for download. So, for example, if you folks want your contractors to provide a paper version of the bond for any reason, we do house PDF versions of those documents. We also hold the digital document as well. And that's really your bread and butter right there. Is the process within Surety2000 is what makes this bond a valid document. But for any reason you do ever get provided with a PDF version of a Surety2000 bond, this is what it's going to look like. And you can see that we do have the signatures on it with the correct information provided. Then you can see at the very bottom of our forms, we have what we call a digital staple at the very bottom left, which will be provided on any documents associated with this bond, providing that it links it back both to Surety2000 and to each document page as well.
It's a randomly generated number by our system that cannot be duplicated.
Yes, it is a unique identifier.
It's a unique identifier, and that same unique identifier is placed on the power of attorney, tethering the power of attorney to the bond. We also added another measure called the QR code, which you'll see, Josh, if you scroll back up, you'll see a QR code on both the power and the bond form itself. So if somebody should print this bond out, you can scan that QR code and be able to ascertain whether or not the bond was legitimately created within Surety2000. If it pulls up correctly, you'll see on your phone, this particular bond linked back to Surety2000 and it being a valid document created in Surety2000.
Yes, exactly. That QR code actually takes you back to this page where it's our bonds detail page, which this is where you're going to find all the information about your bond. The general information, bid bond details, signatures. And now the owner has their own login as well. And just to save time, I'm not going to log out and log back in, as it's the same exact process for you folks to download the bond. So you go to the Documents tab here on the left-hand side once you get into your specific bond details, and you're going to want to choose the combined power of attorney and signed document. Once you do get here, you just click download right here. It'll save a copy on your computer, or you can also print from this screen as well. But Surety2000, again, will never delete documents. So we will house your bonds within Surety2000 from the beginning of time until current. And so if there's 3 years down the line, you guys need a copy of a bond for any reason, we will always have that data stored within Surety2000. And that's about it, folks. That is our process from getting the agent to create the bond with the power of attorney associated by the surety, getting the contractor to come in and sign with those audit trails held in the background for those signatures, and then the owner being able to come in and validate that bond within Surety2000 and also download a copy if necessary for your records. Is there any questions?
Yeah, Josh. So, we're talking about the digital demonstration with any city as our mock project, as we've talked about. So I, as the agent, would be putting the job information into Surety2000, sending an email to my client and saying, okay, I've executed the bid bond. You can execute it now too. We have a dummy, obviously, obligee in any city. And you're basically saying, as any city, they could log into Surety2000 and see all the bonds that have been submitted to them. They could visually look at them if they want to, but the digital data is there for them to be able to import right into their system.
Absolutely.
And so if you're a private entity, like ExxonMobil, and you wanted to have contractors, be bonded, they would be able to log in and see all the bonds that have been submitted to them. If you're a general contractor on a job, you would see all the subcontract bonds issued to you.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's kind of like logging into your bank and seeing your deposit. You don't need to see the check anymore. You got the money in the bank. So, that's kind of the demo we're trying to show, is how easy it is to issue a digital bond that really is next generation. And then the data starts to become valuable because it can connect to the neighborhood, so that if somebody wants to know anything about that bond, they know the who, what, and where. They know who it was issued by. They have all sorts of information at their disposal if they need it.
Absolutely. And we even offer integration on top of that. So if you want that data to be pulled outside of Surety2000, stored, or even validated outside of Surety2000, we do have integrations set up with other companies that we could absolutely set up with you folks to do that validation process even outside of our system, where the bonds would be created in Surety2000 and then verified somewhere else if necessary.
Okay, and obviously I am one agent. You said you have 1,100 agents. So any one of their agents can work with, their clients, whoever their clients are, and be able to issue digital bonds today. This is not something futuristic. This is available today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think one thing I did forget to mention as well is that we can template out any form as well. As long as we can provide a PDF document of a form, AIA document, the consensus form, we can template those out and use them within our system if that's the PDF form that you folks require. So we can detail out any document really with our templating feature.
Well, yeah, and we have the consensus doc and the AIA are the two that we have the copyright waivers on, so that we can change them into digital bonds, so that there's a lot more information on the bond than the original bond had.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think.
And furthermore, we have other add-on documents such as dual obligee riders. And Dixon, you're familiar with those, as well as other various riders that might need to accompany a bond. So our system allows for the upload of those riders so that they can be populated and attached with the bond as well.
All right. And so a sister company of yours, Vertical, helps onboard contractors. So, that's another part of the digital ecosystem, but that's for another call.
I could touch on it briefly just to give everybody a background. Yeah, there's two elements to vertical. There's the certificates of insurance compliance component called CertFocus, and the other is our system called Prequal, which pre-qualifies contract bidders, subcontractors, trades, that sort of thing. So if some of our largest customers include Turner Construction, Skanska, Structure Tone, Marriott Hotels. Any company looking to do business with Turner as a trade contractor, Turner needs to know that they've got strong financial statements and are capable of carrying out their contractual duty as a trade contractor for Turner Construction. So we do a full financial underwriting through our pre-qualification system. It's supported by technology, the underwriting process, in order to qualify them and give them a rating, a credit score. So Turner has hired us to do that. And there's also certificates of insurance compliance. Anybody doing business with ExxonMobil has to provide a certificate of insurance. We need to make sure that any of those vendors and suppliers are insurance compliant. A typical certificate holder has a list of insurance requirements that all of their vendors need to comply with. Well, you're getting an influx of 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 certificates per year. Our system checks all of those certificates to make sure that they meet the minimum insurance requirements set by that certificate holder. That's what CertFocus does. So those are our two other technology-supported products that we have. And Matt Kelly, who runs that division, can follow up and provide another presentation on those particular services, Dixon, if that's something you'd like to arrange.